welcome back to the Boiling Point Podcast. This is episode 59, and I am your host, JD, and it is a very special episode today because we finally get our first female guest on the Boiling Point Podcast, Rachel Henry. We went to school together, and we've just recently connected in the last year or so. We talked to each other on Facebook, social media, and I asked her to come on the show. She is an interior designer. She has her own real estate business. Her interior design business is called Green and Gold Design, and you can find that at greenandgolddesign.com, and the word "and" is spelled out. And you also can look for her. She has a real estate business, Rachel Henry Realty. Is that right?
It's with RSR Realtors, yeah.
RSR Realtors. So she does both. She sells homes, and she does interior designing. Now that's where we're going to start off first. What is the difference between an interior designer and an interior decorator?
So really what my specialty is I design kitchens, bathrooms, additions, renovations, mostly remodeling design. There are designers out there, or decorators, if you will, that tend to focus more on furniture placement, if for lack of a better word, and so they'll help you choose colors and furniture and maybe some window treatments. That is not my wheelhouse.
That's not what you normally do?
Yeah, I prefer the remodeling aspect and moving walls and more of the construction side.
So you help them. So you'll redesign a portion of someone's house instead of, like, you're not decorating it. You're actually redesigning the entire structure of a room, really.
Right. So we're taking out walls and doing floor plans
or additions.
Or additions, and then we have like a 3D. We have a 3D floor plan so that you can see the kitchen as it would be finished, and then you can see it from above where everything would be placed and different things like that. Yep.
Okay. Now, the difference between a designer, you don't help them pick like colors or types of furniture?
I mean, in the kitchen I do, yeah.
Okay.
So if we're choosing cabinets and countertops and flooring, I'm definitely walking them through that process. I think if someone was like, hey, listen, my kitchen opens into my living room and I'm kind of extending the renovation or the remodel into the living room, I would be happy to help them, maybe choose some things for that after it was done, but that's not normally what I do, yeah.
Okay, so you just, you're about reorganizing a room or adding additions to a room.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the furniture or the placement or what type of furniture.
Right.
You let that to the homeowners.
Yeah.
You're about structurally redesigning the layout of a room or a group of rooms.
Right. So two of my biggest kitchen remodels were taking down walls and between the formal dining room and the kitchen, and then making it part of the kitchen. So just expanding the kitchen into the formal dining room. So that would be something that I'm designing, is like, if this wall can be taken out, and my contractor's with me at the initial appointment to be able to point out the things that I can and can't do, which is important.
Yes.
So
you have your own contractor. He comes with you when you're looking at a new job and stuff. Okay.
Yes, I do. Yeah, he helps. He and I were able to meet at Jenny's Salon when I did. Now I did design Jenny's Salon in Mechanicsburg. That was my first commercial project, and Jenny had done, I think it was a 5,000 or 6,000 square foot addition to her building on Old Gettysburg Road in Mechanicsburg.
I remember the pictures.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, before I started the podcast for a few months, I actually worked for Rachel. I helped her launch her Green and Gold Design, which is her designing business.
Right.
I helped her launch her social media on Facebook and stuff when she first launched that. I helped her for a few months in the initial launch.
Right.
And so I got to see the pictures of the commercial.
Right.
The commercial project. That was a big project for you, right? I mean, you don't normally do something that size.
It was definitely a bigger project. Yes, it was a big. It was being built from the ground up, so there was no. There's a lot of help. There was a bigger builder. Widener did the actual construction, and then the contractor that I worked with was in in charge of building all the cabinetry. So he's very big into woodworking and cabinetry. So that's, he can do pretty much anything. Like right now we're doing a full bathroom in a garage, over a garage that wasn't finished. So he's finishing it.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, the commercial lot, that was a very big job. I remember when you posted the pictures up and stuff. And it looked amazing after you had it finished. So.
Yeah, I was quite proud of it. Jenny really was proud of it. She's been, it's her work, or salon herself has been in a magazine recently. It's just called Salon Magazine. Nice. So she said that some of my, pictures of the salon would be in there. And so that was neat.
Yeah, that's good. And now you're on the podcast.
Yeah.
So things are
all
obviously,
I got lots of spotlight.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
So you're still getting some design business. Things haven't, the slowing of the economy, has that slowed your business down at all?
Honestly, I don't feel like it is the slowing of the economy. Not to, it's just with the real estate market being crazy right now, it's been something that I feel like everybody's focusing on their house because they've been home.
Yeah.
So that really the price of lumber is coming down, so that's probably good for people to know. But now this year they're able to go on vacations and spend their money elsewhere, so it's calming down.
So that's interesting. So you were one of those, you were in one of those few like niche markets that during the downturn, during everybody being home due to the pandemic, you actually kind of saw an uptick in business.
Well, in real estate too. Yeah, real estate too. Got to be, as everybody knows, got to be crazy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes, they did. Now, I wanted to let everybody know if they're interested in getting Rachel's services. You can look on Facebook. She has her Facebook page, Green and Gold Design, and make sure you spell out that the word "and" is spelled out in the Facebook page and on the website.
Yep.
And that's the easiest way to find her. You have your own real estate page too, or is it just the design page?
I did Rachel Henry Realtor, but honestly, it's just, a lot of things, and that's just houses that I've sold. It's, maybe new listings that I have. I love real estate. I started selling real estate in 2004, so when I was 20, and I've been around it for such a long time, and but really and quite honestly, my passion is remodeling. So,
remodeling, yeah. All right, well, let's talk a little bit more about that then. You said now you come with a contractor when you do the jobs, which means, and that's also, I want to point out that most interior decorators do not come with a contractor because there's not usually.
Well, they're not doing any kind of construction,
exactly. Yeah. So you're really focused on there's usually some kind of construction involved when you take a job.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so that's an important thing to know, that's also a key difference between what would be a designer and a decorator.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is probably just I am actually technically a general contractor. I have my general contracting license. I am registered with the state. I have a contract that I use with my clients that was drafted by my attorney. I am fully insured. So it's, I am doing things differently than like a decorator who comes in and helps with furniture. Like I'm actually.
Yeah, that's I didn't know all that.
There's quite a little bit of liability involved.
Yeah, so you actually are a contractor and stuff. That's interesting.
Right.
That's great. Okay. Yeah. What did you have to do? What does it do to get a contractor's license? I'm just curious now. This has nothing to do with.
Sure.
Some of the people might not be interested in this. I'm curious.
Oh yeah. Honestly, the state really sets it, like you contact, my lawyer had me contact the state. I forget what the website is, and I could probably get that to you, but it's neither here nor there. But it's just so that you're registered, to make sure that people are aware that you're a reputable business. I think a huge part of my reasoning for getting into this was that I was a real estate agent handing, remodeling business to other contractors. And even though we had good success with them in the past, when they would get busy, it would just kind of, fall apart. They weren't coming on time. They weren't.
That some businesses are like that, and it's not necessarily their fault. There's, especially with the pandemic and everything, there's a lot going on, but
just inundated with work.
Yeah, so you just decided to cut out the
middleman.
And get yourself some more business by selling the homes and then being able to offer people a way to redesign.
Yes. Okay. So that's a good lead into. On a side note, I will say that I have a really strong administrative background as well. So project management's a huge part of my job. I can honestly say that sometimes it's not even about designing. That's the name of my company. But some of it's just contracting and project management, which I seem to find some contractors struggle with,
Yeah. There aren't a lot of good contractors out there, for sure.
Well,
about that.
So you're talking about the quality of work, and then you're talking about their prices, and then you're talking about, them being able to manage the job on a whole. And a lot of that is hard to find around here, you're right. And so that is a huge part of my job, is the project management. And then, so there were 2 kitchens on my website. One of them is, I think it's called 16th Street, if I'm not mistaken. It was a house in New Cumberland that I sold, and before they moved in, we remodeled the kitchen.
Was that the black and white one?
It was, yeah.
And she has all these pictures on her Facebook page, Green and Gold Design. Make sure you go check it out.
Yes, thank you. And then there was another one where they just took down a wall and opened and just turned. It was really just a dead space in this kitchen, in this townhouse kitchen, and they turned it into a breakfast bar.
And I know which one that is too. So that's great. And your work. I mean, the before and after pictures are quite astonishing with many of the projects that you at least have shown on the Facebook page.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say that I do small jobs and I do big jobs. I don't, try to limit it to one thing or another. I know that some people have price points that they try to stay within, and maybe one day that'll happen. But I mean, to be quite honest with you, I just like doing it. I love doing it. So.
Yeah. And that's all that matters is, and when you like doing something like that, you can be flexible.
Right.
And, that way you get more opportunity. That's the way I am with the podcast.
Right.
I got to be the most flexible person, because usually most of the guests, like yourself, are very busy individuals. They don't have time to just come on whenever. When they have a free spot, I got to be ready for them.
Right.
So that's why I try and be extra flexible.
Yeah, and so that's the thing is, I think that just all of me getting into this business was realizing that there was a need for someone who had just a little bit of organization and a little bit of. So I've been looking at houses for 17 years, so I could effectively see where I would move things or change things, and as long as it can be done.
Yep, to try and get more space and to maximize everything. Yep.
So it was a good lead from real estate into design.
Yep. And of course, like I said before, go check out her pages, greenandgolddesign.com, and on Facebook.
Thank you.
Let's talk about you, Rachel, the person now. We talked about some of your business. The Olympics just passed. We talked about the Olympics. You were going to come on for an Olympic episode.
For soccer.
Yep, we couldn't make that happen. Neither one of our schedules. Every time you had some time, I was busy filming. Yep. Mm-hmm. And every time I was free, you were busy running around doing something.
Whatever.
Yeah, a job or a meeting or something that you do. But did you get to see any of the Olympics or watch any highlights?
Just the highlights of soccer, because you and I were talking about it. So yeah, the American team did okay this year. They didn't do overwhelmingly great.
No, especially not the women's team.
No.
And I mean, you don't have to comment on this if you don't want to. I would attribute that to the kneeling they did for the national anthem before the game. And yes, I did say that to the viewers. That's why I looked at the camera. That's what I would attribute it to. But you might attribute it to something different. You don't have to comment at all. Oh. What about the Paralympics? The Paralympics are on now. They're on for a week after the Olympics are over. Then they're on for about 2 weeks.
Honestly, I think it has a lot to do with my streaming. Like, I don't have anything that I'm actively streaming anything. I try to go to YouTube to even get the soccer highlights. So you and I just talked about this. I'm not super into, I'm not a techie person.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I guess that's probably why you asked me to help you launch your Facebook page.
Well, I mean, I think that it's good to distribute your weaknesses out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. And social media I've made one of my strengths because it's not it's not easy to navigate that world.
No.
So what other than the Olympics, do you watch any sports, or you have a TV show?
Yeah, so,
do you not get to watch any TV because you're always busy?
I'm kind of up, I'm all around. Like, I watch, movies a lot more than anything. I was catching up, so I didn't even know that this show even existed, but News Radio.
Yeah, I heard of that show, but I haven't seen it.
I know, it's like back in, the 90s, I think, and, it's funny, it's definitely... but I try to keep things pretty upbeat because I think that, I don't know. I think that I start watching those, the ID channel, and it gets to be depressing. It
can. There's certainly lots of shows that are depressing out there. Absolutely.
So that's usually where I try to stay at, is something lighthearted and upbeat.
So, and sports, just soccer for you?
No, I really love any kind of live sporting event. It doesn't matter if it's soccer, baseball, hockey,
now, do you mean
football.
Live in person, or
yes,
live on the TV?
No, I love watching live sports in person. And then, but on the TV, I am a football fan. Go Penn State.
Penn State?
Yeah, Penn State.
Right. A pro team or no pro team?
I am a Green Bay Packers fan, but I follow them very loosely. I have no Pennsylvania team.
Well, that's terrible. You're off the show. You're off the show. That's it. If you're not an Eagles fan, you're not allowed on.
Well, okay, so maybe I can redeem myself. My sister and her husband live in Philly, so they're huge Eagles fans.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, Green Bay fan, Penn State fan, of course. I mean, everybody in Pennsylvania seems to be a Penn State fan. That seems to be... Yeah. Penn State's pretty hardwired into the state, I believe.
Yeah.
Almost everybody likes them. So what do you like to do in your free time then? If you have any free time, what do you like to do? How do you wind down?
So I have 2 dogs, Reg and Rusty. You will see them on Facebook from time to time because they do so well there.
As pets do.
Yeah, we're a little pack. I have a cat, JJ, so I really spend a lot of time with my animals. My boyfriend Matt and I spend a lot of time together. He's into skydiving and the Eagles.
Okay.
So he's...
Have to have him on the show.
Yeah, he's actually in remodeling himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so him and his brother have a company, and they there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things. They focus primarily on bathrooms, but not entirely. So it's been a learning experience to be able to talk to him and ask him questions. Watching him skydive is always very interesting. And
he's a skydiver. That's interesting. Yeah, I would imagine that is interesting.
Yeah, adrenaline junkie for sure.
Have you done it? Have you gone skydiving?
I have a long time ago. Yeah, when I was 19.
Okay.
So, but I would do the tandem jump where you're strapped to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought about that. That's obviously what I would have to do if I did go skydiving.
You should try it.
My only problem is I am extremely petrified of heights.
So am I.
So would have to change my underwear, I'm sure, once I land.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing, though, is I can tell you from past experience that the feeling is of being weightless.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about anything else. You're not doing, you're
I imagine I'm screaming.
Yeah, you do scream, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine I'm screaming on the way down.
Yeah, you are.
I'd like, on the way out of the plane, I think I'd like to shout cowabunga, but I can't say that I would get past the cowa and then just be in some kind of,
You know what, just close your eyes until they jump and then open them when you're in the air.
Okay. I'll definitely think about that because it's when you get there and you're looking down, it's like, yeah, man, it's a good idea.
No, don't look down. But even watching his videos, it's
yeah. I mean, I've seen the people that have the point of view when they're skydiving, and you're watching the ground come up close, and I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
Well, we just went in on a helicopter ride at the beach, and I was holding on for dear life. So.
All right, so you like to you relax with your boyfriend, you watch him a little bit of TV,
yeah,
and you travel.
I do travel. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I like to travel. I like to go different places and see different things. Like I've been to let's see. Been to Romania, Honduras, Poland. Not a lot of, fun countries.
No, but that's all interesting. I'm sure that was quite an experience.
They were missions trips, yeah.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, that's what kind of for
Well, Honduras was when I was 16. Romania was when I was 19. Poland is because my sister-in-law is from Poland, and actually my brothers and they are moving to Poland here shortly.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
I'm sure I'll spend some time traveling around there. My dad and mom did, always encouraged us to travel. So I've seen a good amount of the States.
Yeah, I've only traveled within the States. I've never been outside the country. But
I love America. You know what I mean?
Like,
I love
absolutely.
to be in it. So it took me a while, and it's such an undertaking to go to any country. Like, you're in the plane for 16 hours, 18 hours.
Yeah.
It gets to be tiring.
Yeah.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yep. I mean, other than Ireland, I don't know how many places I'd actually like to visit anyway.
I think I want to go to Japan and England. Those are on my bucket list.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Japan either.
I think it would be cool, right?
Yeah, I think I'd probably go to Japan too.
Yeah, I think that would be a cool one.
Of course, during good times, not during the pandemic that's going on right now, of course.
No, that all aside.
Especially, Japan, since the Olympics ended and the Paralympics started, actually have put up a lot of their quarantine and mask mandates and all that stuff have come back on since after the Olympics. Actually, they had a breakout come out after the Olympics had wrapped up, because there's like a week between the Olympics and the Paralympics. So during that transition, I guess they had a huge spike in cases and they went back on lockdowns and stuff. All the Paralympians are wearing like masks. All the officials are wearing masks, even more so than they were during the regular Olympics.
Yeah.
If anybody does happen to watch any Paralympics, I strongly recommend the wheelchair rugby.
I bet that's awesome.
Yeah, they go hard.
Really?
Yeah, they go really hard. Yeah, I mean
any kind of rugby goes hard, right?
Yeah, yes, but there's a difference even in football. Watching a person get there's a difference between watching a person get shoulder blocked and watching them get leveled. As astonishing as that can be, as when someone takes a hit like that in football, you're like, oh, you cringe.
Yeah.
But there's something quite different. That's a guy in a wheelchair that's potentially paralyzed from the waist down or other injuries. Rolling his wheelchair across the ground after colliding at 20 miles an hour with another guy in a wheelchair.
I'm sure
That's the first time.
No fear, right?
Yeah. First time I saw it, because there's a couple where they get knocked over and they just fall to the side, and I've rolled my chair before too.
Yeah.
But there's hits that they're going 15, 20 miles an hour full speed down the court and they collide with each other and then they roll.
Yeah.
Because they fall forward and then they roll because of all the momentum that they have.
That's insane.
And I've rolled my chair over, but I've never rolled my chair before.
Yeah, it was like rolling roll.
Yeah, like a roll.
Yeah. Like you tipped,
and
you're like rolling.
But some of them guys take hits and they roll across the floor before they come to a stop.
Yeah, see, I could just imagine that probably, being in that, like if you are paralyzed from the waist down, like you can't feel anything, right? So there's...
Yeah. I would still
nothing to lose.
Yeah, but to be a spectator and to watch it, you're like, whoa, how do you? That's crazy. I'd be like, man,
I'm gonna have to look this up now.
I mean, if I was in there, I'd be going just as hard. But when that crash would probably make me think twice. The first time I had a crash would probably make me think twice.
Yeah,
the next time I went at somebody, but they go no fear. Balls out.
It's probably why they're in the Olympics, right?
Absolutely.
Like because they're the best of the best.
Yeah, and they're amazing athletes too, and they have amazing upper body strength. They're so wide across the chest.
You were absolutely. Any kind of the biking. Have you ever seen the biking? That is amazing to me.
Yeah.
I find that to be very intriguing, like because you can just see that these people are like so physically fit. You know, it's so strong. Yeah,
especially the swimmers too. I mean, I seen some of the female swimmers, both in the regular Olympics and the Paralympics. They got wingspans bigger than me. Like they got chests that are huge. They're so strong upper body.
Right. Well, any kind of swimmer is usually built with a wide chest and back.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
absolutely. But yeah, when you see them though,
yeah.
you know, in the pool after they get out and they're, you know, after straining themselves like that and all their muscles are, you're like, man, you are built.
Yes, they are.
Even the women.
It is, yeah. Well, because they're swimming constantly.
Yeah,
that's their job.
Yeah, they swim for miles.
So. Yeah,
absolutely. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about on the podcast? I think I got through most of we covered who you are kind of as a person, and we talked about your work at all or a little bit. And
yeah, the consultations and estimates are free.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's get that out there. Let's
yeah. So it's just really, I mean, I'm very much like another contractor. So like if you want your bathroom remodeled or your kitchen remodeled and you're just kind of in your discovery phase where you're just getting prices and quotes. You know, I definitely go through a process to do it, meaning like I try to source the materials that you're wanting to use. And so we get the quote together based on those kinds of things. And I will say that my contractor hand makes custom cabinets if that's of interest to someone. He does that and does a wonderful job. You can see some of his work at Jenny's Salon. Okay. So those kinds of things have been really exciting to do. And, you know, they don't always work out. Some people go different directions. Past a certain point, once you get your quote, though, it's usually like either you're doing it or you're not doing it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, and then I try to, after I'm done and they're we've gone over the contract and they've decided to proceed with their project, that's when I really start dialing in on the exact materials that they think they're going to want and use. And then we go to different showrooms to be able to see those things in person.
Okay, great. Now how much time do you spend a lot of time on free estimates or doing the work that people don't end up following through?
You know, so my contractor just the other day said, someone once told me if you don't get 40% of the jobs, you're doing fine. So, you know, it's a 60% rate that success rate that you're getting the job. Sometimes I think it's just really where people are at, you know, everybody wants to compare prices and everybody wants to, you know, kind of see what they're getting themselves into, which I can appreciate. Yeah. So it's a basic process to get the quote together, try to get it, you know, where you want it, understanding that if anything would be different material than what we've already selected, you know, during the quoting process, then it's going to change your numbers.
Yes, that's important. That's important to remember also. So
right.
Free estimates. If anybody out there is looking for a redesign, I can assure you that if we ever do get a place to shoot these podcasts, like a real place to shoot these podcasts, I will certainly hope maybe even Rachel will be the one finding me a place that I can shoot the podcast.
Yeah, possibly.
And we'll definitely have her the one design the interior of it, because when we finally get one, it's going to be a nice looking one. That's for sure. But right now we are still low budget, single microphone, terrible backdrop.
I like the backdrop.
You're the first guest that's really, I mean, everybody's kind of appreciated it, but it's not very high budget.
No, but it's like kind of like you're just, you know, you get to look at a picture of the ocean.
Yes, the beach. That's why I left it up, was because it was the beach. And then my brother got me the flag so that we could hang that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't like that I didn't have a flag. That was a big thing.
Well, that's okay.
My
brother's
brother,
ex-military. Well, he is still active. Not active, he's reserves now, but he was active for, I think, I'm sorry, Nathan. He was like, it was like 12 years. And so he did his tours in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Actually, I just had a podcast with my cousin. He's still active duty right now.
I saw that.
That episode will be on before this episode, but it's not up at the time I've shot this.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to get into the logistics of that. I will confuse you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, then, so go to greenandgolddesign.com. Make sure remember that it's spelled out. That's for the website, and her contact information is on that page. You can also go to Facebook, facebook.com/greenandgolddesign. You can find her on Instagram at greenandgolddesign.
You can email me.
And you can email her at
It's Rachel, Rachel, at greenandgolddesign.com.
Excellent. Then you can email her if you are interested in getting some design work or getting a free estimate done, or if you're looking to get some real estate. If you need a new house or looking for that, you can also ask her for that.
Yeah.
Help with that as well. And if you like the podcast, please comment, like, share. That's what we need the most right now. We need people to share because we need more viewers. The only way we're going to get them is by you, the people who enjoy this podcast. Please share it out so that we can continue to grow. That's going to be the best way to help us grow. If you want to help us beyond the sharing and liking and commenting, you can visit our storefront. Bonfire.com/store/The Boiling Point Podcast. That is all lowercase. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/The Boiling Point Podcast. You can follow me personally on Instagram at JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z at the end of it. Of course, you can also go to facebook.com/JDEDESIGNz, and that's with a Z at the end of it. Buy yourself a poster. All of that will help the podcast grow, or help me as an individual. So, Marcus Frederiksen is going to be the one that plays us out. Make sure you go check him out. ReverbNation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Give him a share also with his music. Marcus Frederiksen, actually, I met after I started doing the podcast. He also has arthrogryposis, the same thing that I have.
Oh, nice.
He messaged the page, like the podcast page, and was like, "Hey, do you have arthrogryposis?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he's like, "Hey, so do I." And and he's a musician, so
nice.
Yeah.
What does he play?
He does vocals. He plays the drums is his main thing, but I believe he does some guitar also. But he does drums and vocals.
Yeah.
He's got a station on Reverb Nation, and all the music that we use is parts of his songs.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was.
I think
that's
really fascinating.
Awesome. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the most awesome things that have happened to me since I started the podcast.
Yeah.
Was meeting him. So go check out Marcus Frederiksen's Reverb Nation station and give him a share and a like also. Rachel Henry, thank you for being the first female guest on the Boiling Point Podcast. Before we started getting people saying, "Hey, why don't you have any female guests on your podcast?"
Thank you. I am honored. Thank you so much, John.
I hope you can come on again soon.
Yeah, I think when we get some more projects underneath my belt, so people have some new stuff to look at for sure.
Yeah, that sounds great. For Rachel Henry, I am your host, JD, and that's the end.
Thanks.
Love is strong, it lasts so long, it just goes on for eternity, and now you've won through your son, the greatest gift, so that we